All right, so we're going to walk through the throwing program builder that I created. Essentially give you a rough idea of its functionality, what it can do, why we created it the way that we created it, and some of the ways to customize it to fit your needs. I basically made this to keep things organized at the baseball development group, but also to basically give us a nice little throwing card that we can customize really quickly and draft up our throwing programs rather fast. Okay, so. When you open this up, hopefully the first thing you do is enable macros if you need to, and enable editing so that you can actually use some of these buttons at the top. But you'll see right away that let's just zoom out a little bit, you'll see right away that we've got some immediate things. So our logo on the left, you can change to whatever you want. If you want to email me questions directly, go for that. But essentially the document itself is a way to create throwing programs for athletes. So you'll see here that there are essentially 6 different options or 6 different throwing days that we can create. I advise picking one athlete and sticking with them, saving that as their own throwing program. And if you want to change the throwing card, let's just say this is month 1 and we want to change it, make the second one month 2 as you follow up. That's fine. It's better to do that than to, have one athlete here, another athlete there, and then get confused a little bit. Okay. So you'll see that, for each thing there is, let me just zoom in quickly. Let's go a little more. You can input the athlete, name. It'll give you some information about their date of birth, the class, the school, what have you. It'll also give you information on their throwing warm-up, as well as their drill work for that day. So let's run through this a little bit. If I don't want to be, choosing Steve, we can change that to John Doe, and it'll automatically update the name, the date of birth, the school, the class, all the extra info that you can change if you want to. If we want to change, add our own roster, all we have to do is click on the athlete tab, and that'll take you to the athlete sheet, where we can just change the name. So instead of John Doe, we can go John Deere, because that's way cooler, and go back to the throwing card. This will update, and now you can choose John Deere. Okay? So what we can do then, obviously, is scroll down and work on our pre-throwing warm-up. So for us, let's say our movement prep, the way that we do it is, controlled articular rotations or joint circles. We can select that, or we can select maybe mobility work. And that'll pop up, the box will pop up depending on what you want to put in there, right? So if for mobility specifically we want to change that, we will go to the pre-throwing tab. You can also click pre-throwing up here. We'll go to the pre-throwing tab, and we'll change the mobility from mobility exercise according to movement screen findings to shoulder isometrics at end range. Okay? If we go back to the throwing card, you'll see that automatically changed. Maybe we don't want to do mobility as a movement prep. We want to do something else. You can just change that yourself to whatever you want, okay? The second category we have is upper specific. So maybe instead of a shoulder activation, we want to do bands or a band routine. There we go. If we want to do a dynamic warm-up, we can go linear focus. Or if you just want to enter your own, I've given you another category. You can customize it yourself. Maybe we do a little power prep. We're going to do sprints instead of kettlebell stuff. We'll do our A workout for sprints, some 10 yards, okay? So again, all of that you can customize on here. Feel free to just basically enter your own or switch these up, whatever you want to do, okay? If we go back to the throwing card and we want to change things like the date, we can change Monday. Today would be Monday. And the session type will end up being, let's do a flat ground, okay? So from that, if you look at the actual builder itself, you'll see the date, the week coming across, the exercise we're doing, what it's paired with, because at BDG we pair our throwing stuff with specific exercises. You'll come across, you'll see set 1 will be 50% effort. You can change that to RPE if you want to. The reps will do 5. We'll do a weight of 16 ounces. And we can have a velo range or have guys record velo if they want to. It depends on what you want to do, right? So if we go flat ground, Maybe we don't do marshals, we like pivot picks instead. We'll select that, that'll automatically change. Maybe we're not doing flat ground, we're going to do mound work instead, and we want to do quick picks off a mound. That'll change as well. Let me just fix that quickly. So that'll change automatically, right? Let's say our pairing type now, we want to do a med ball drill with that. We will change that to shot put, and that'll automatically change. The scheme here is just the number of reps and sets that we want to do with the pairing drill, not the actual throwing drill itself. So maybe we want to do 2 sets of 8. All of this stuff, again, is customizable. So if you go to the settings, and let's say we want to change, we want to add a drill to the mound. Who knows? And we want to go throw as hard as possible. Okay, and we go back to the throwing card, and we go to the mound. That'll come up here. Okay, you might have to, change some of the settings of the sizing of the font, whatever you need to do. That's up to you. Okay, so that's pretty easy to customize. You can do that all the way through, right? So you can do that for the pairing type, the med ball drill. You can do that for the exercises if you want. It all depends on what you want to create for your athletes, right? So let's just call that day 1. If you wanted to change that, day 2, instead of Monday, let's call it Tuesday now. You'll have to click on this little button at the top. So if you click on that guy, it'll open up your own menus again for that specific day. So now I can change that from Tuesday to maybe Wednesday's the next throwing day, and Wednesday is going to be a hybrid day where whatever that means to you, your programming, we're going to go flat ground, and we're going to do some long toss, and maybe we don't want to do any med ball work. Maybe we just want to do nothing there. You'll have to change this to none, and that is essentially nothing. We're not doing anything there. So everything is customizable for you and what you want to do for your your programming. What is interesting is what I've created a little bit here is basically just a throw count. Okay, so this is not an extravagant way to monitor throwing load, but it is somewhat useful depending on how many reps you do and the number of sets. It'll count and update how many throws you make on day 1, how many you make on day 2, and then give you a weekly total, right? So this is important. So instead maybe of 6, we're going to look at week 1, day 2. That'll change to 46. When we say we want to do 100, that changes the day number and the week number of number of throws that we make. It just gives you a rough idea of whether you're progressing or not, and throughout the month, right? So as you go from week to week, you probably want to be accumulating throwing load depending on where you are in the season. If you're in preseason ramping up, it just gives you a rough idea. Okay, it's not that advanced. If we scroll up and we go to the monthly planner, so the monthly planner is just essentially a way for us to have an idea of what we're asking our guys to do on a month when we're planning it out. Okay, so we'll look at February. Let's say we want the first Friday will just be a recovery day. Okay, we can scroll down based off of the session type again that you can change if you want to. If you go to athletes, So if we go to the monthly planner, so if we go and click on monthly planner, that'll give us, take us to this sheet where we essentially get a rough idea of, we can build out a rough idea of what we're asking our athletes to do on the month. Okay, so if let's say on February the 3rd, it's a Monday, we want to have a max intent pull down day. We click that and it'll come up as max intent pull down. I've color schemed all of these a little bit depending on how difficult they may be from a intensity perspective. So recovery is going to be green. Flat ground or a hybrid type day will be more orange. Max intent pull down might be red, and then max intent mound or live ABs might be bright red. It depends, and you can change all that if you want, depending what your needs are. But depending on what you want to do on that day, it'll automatically change and upload for you. A nice little thing that we added was just an area for notes. So let's say this whole week here, we have athletes are in exams. Maybe we want to just map that out so we know that we're not doing too much work on that day, right? Maybe we're doing lighter work. And again, that's all customizable. For this current version, I've just blocked off the next three months to make things easier. It's really easy to just copy, paste, and change that if you want. But that's a rough idea of what this whole throwing card looks like. Again, you can save dynamically. Just press the button. It'll pop up to save. You can print and do whatever you need to do. It's all up to you and how you want to customize the throwing stuff. I hope you get some value out of this because it's been really good for us.